Hello and welcome to Cosmic Updates and Cosmic Upgrades for 2026. I am Mother Malia, and I would say that I'm Mother Malia 3.0. I would say that in human form we like to say that a new era is loading, and I will say that a new era has fully loaded. So if you're feeling a shift in my energy, that is because I'm now pretty much fully integrated as Mother Malia. You'll notice that my face and my mouth and so on are becoming a little more human-like, I suppose. I don't know how else to say that. But anyways, I really received a strong impulse to be connecting with you. I know it's not lost on you that there is a lot happening. There's a lot happening in your personal field. There's a lot happening in the planetary field. But I also want to bring awareness and remembrance to what's happening in the cosmic field and why it's important to pay attention to that now. Now, I'm not someone that gives all of my authority to astrology, but it is interesting that the year of the fire horse is starting, and this is coming to during the very initial sort of official phases of the fire horse. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love my horsies, and I have worked really closely with horses. In fact, the horses help me be initiated or to to step into Mother Malia. And they also helped me to integrate. So it feels very fitting that I'm coming to you during this time. But because I have had some shifts and because there are, of course, cosmic shifts happening, I wanted to not just give you cosmic updates and upgrades. This is basically serving as a transmission, but I also want to share with you some of the things that have been happening behind the scenes and how things are going to be going in the next year or so, I suppose, or depending on how things change. So here is what I would like to transmit to you today. These are the upgrades that 2026 is asking of you. You entered this year leaving behind any remnants of looking to be saved, fixed, or parented, or allowing others to project that role onto you. So you may be noticing some shifts in how you're moving through the world, your perceptions, etc., but of course, how others are responding to you. Now, if you were really good at being the electrical socket in the wall and letting people plug into you, sometimes people don't handle it so well when you decide that they're no longer able to plug into you and siphon energy. So just know that whether or not you wish to make these changes, that this year is going to be moving you and likely moving you in directions that you may not be expecting. It's likely going to be moving people out of your life or moving them to different realms of your life. Maybe they were in your inner circle and they're kind of on the periphery right now. But also, we never lose anything. And so let's also focus on who might be being moved into your life, what opportunities might be moved into your life, et cetera, et cetera. This isn't because anyone did anything wrong. This isn't because you were operating right or wrong. We don't operate from judgment here. This is all coming from a place of neutrality. But we know that because of what's happening in the cosmic field, anything that's part of the old world, the inverted game of life, is simply going to be purged out of your field. You're just no longer available to be transmitting I should say, transmuting collective pain and trauma or distortion. Now, over the last, I would say, year and a half, and it was part of my contract, part of my agreement, was to be clearing the collective mother wound and the collective persecution wound. I wasn't the only person. There were many people on the planet that were participating in that. From a perspective of Mother Malia, that didn't faze me at all from the human perspective. It was an interesting journey, let's put it that way. But it was all done in service to what's happening in the cosmic field right now. So that era is complete. If you are here listening to this right now, it's because you've already chosen to extract yourself out of the inverted game of life, remember how to play the real game of life, and then when you have to engage in the construct, in the matrix of the inverted game of life, you have sort of a full perspective. I don't even want to say higher because that's a judgment, but you get what I mean, right? There's just a more expanded perspective. So anywhere that you were martyring yourself, anywhere that you were allowing contraction or distraction to masquerade as responsibility, anywhere that you blamed people or systems or circumstances instead of remembering that you have always been the creator of your own reality, that all comes to an end. Anywhere that you were holding space instead of holding frequency. We don't need to hold people. People can hold themselves. We don't even want to hold frequency necessarily. We want to just stabilize frequency and really expand it from a place of high authority out into the realms, right? For people to receive or to not receive, however they're choosing to be. But if you have been running a business, for example, or even in your social circles or your family, been holding space, that is work, and that comes with a weight to it. So if you've been feeling like you can't carry people anymore, carry old ways of being forward, old offers in your business, et cetera, that is just all part of this shift that's happening with the cosmic field, this pressure, so to speak, that's been closer to our personal field than maybe we're used to, right? There's a pressure isn't really pressure. We tend to want to bump it away, but pressure is really just us filling into our space more with our power. We're not used to being fully in our power because it typically isn't safe to be fully in our power. But when we are misidentifying pressure as stressful, it's really just that more power is expanding into the field, and we're getting used to that. So that's something we're also going to need to stabilize this year, is really asking, is this pressure I'm feeling, or is this more power becoming embodied in the field? Anywhere that you've been negotiating with the field, before, now you're just going to simply command the field. But if you were negotiating with it, I have to do something in order to get something. I have to manage my energy in order to be more attractive to my special person or to my clients or to money or whatever. That all falls away. That's all part of the inverted game of life. So I really want to just take a breather for a moment and let that land with you, because these remnants have already shed. If you're responding to any remnants of this, these are just echoes from the past. You don't have to make them right or wrong. You simply just don't give them your attention. You've already shifted into the identity of the person that is playing the real game of life, that remembers that they create their own reality. And whatever you experience in your outer reality is simply a reflection of your internal world, because whatever we're seeing outside of us is always a reflection of what's happening inside of us. That takes a certain level of personal responsibility and self-awareness, of course. And if you're here, it's because you've already chosen to do that. Most people will get triggered by that because they're still hooked into the inverted game of life, where they need a villain, they need to be a victim of something, they need to blame or shame or guilt or judge, etc. But if you're here, like I said, and you're still with me during all of these transitions and the anchoring of the new energy, then you've already evolved. So I suppose congratulations. I don't know how to say that without it sounding a certain way, but you made it, because it wasn't, there's a level of energetic resilience, I suppose is what I'm trying to say, that is required to get to this place where you moved through all of that, because the inverted game of life, the matrix, really knows us better than we know ourselves, right? And so it knows exactly how to try and keep us contracted and distracted in that old world. But now, on the other side, you're able to see it for what it is. And in fact, you're able to see the matrix for the gift that it is, for the role that we need it to play in the evolution of our consciousness, the role that we need it to play so that we have forgetfulness and then have remembrance. And if you are here, it's because the veil was already really thin for you. This was already going to happen. So I recognize the resilience that it took to get here. And now you can move with this year, with the energies that are already coming your way. And instead of being moved by the energies and being passive and sort of forced to make the moves that you're already needing to make in honor of your sovereignty, you now get to really choose how that unfolds for yourself. So that's really wonderful. As I mentioned, these remnants that I was speaking about before have already been shed. Some of them were quiet and you just sort of woke up feeling different. Some were really unmistakable, right? You were really getting, what I like to affectionately say, getting donkey kicked in the face. But this is all in service to the larger architecture of your divinity, of your I amness, that's stabilizing in your field, of course, on the planet, and then, of course, in the cosmic field as well. So it has a rhyme and a reason, even if at times you were maybe wondering what the reason was. You're no longer operating from external validation. What people think of you or don't think of you is completely irrelevant. You're not at all hyperfixated on that. It means nothing. You're well aware that we're living in a mirror, that we're living in a simulation, and that whatever is being reflected back to you is something that you can transmute very quickly. And additionally, whatever people are projecting onto you, that is theirs to carry. You're just not carrying that for them anymore. You're no longer waiting for proof before you move. You're simply moving. You're no longer waiting for mirrors to confirm whether you're abundant or whether you're successful or whatever you were hoping the mirror would give you, because you now understand that mirrors are just a reflection. They literally can give you nothing but a reflection. As I mentioned, you're now operating from high authority. Your presence alone commands the field. When I say command, of course, I'm not speaking about demand. I'm speaking about holding such exacting frequency and intentionality and operating from the field of potentiality, the field of remembrance, the field of sovereignty for sure, that you're holding yourself in such a way that you're unwavering. Your command of the field is precise, and reality is organizing itself accordingly to match that. Matter collapses into your world at God's speed. You're standing fully in your field of sovereignty, stripped of illusion, stripped of distortion, stripped of the belief that you need to become something in order to be something. You already are those things. We're simply collapsing back into the version of you that has always been God in a body and stripping away anything that was interfering with that full remembrance, that full anchoring, that full stabilization in your field. You're remembering your original coding. And now it's time to operate from full voltage. It's safe for you to be in full voltage. That pressure, as I mentioned before, that you're feeling isn't pressure at all. It's you expanding in the body. It's you expanding in your field. It's you expanding in your command, in your purpose, in your presence. You're not operating at full voltage to reach a potential, to prepare for anything. You're simply expanding into the force of nature that you already are, that you always have been. And your present self now is simply catching up to what has always been true. As I mentioned, you're no longer available for blame and shame and guilt and judgment and projection. You are untouchable. You always have been untouchable. You are the force of nature that this world called forward. And now you decide whether you'll answer that call, not just for you, but for all of us. Because you are the one. You always have been the one. You've never not been the one. And reality is already organizing to support the full embodiment of that. So before I go deeper into kind of what comes next, I wanted to share with you, as I mentioned, that I'm declaring myself as Mother Malia 3.0. I'm here as Mother Malia fully, without apology. Uh, with full immunity to anything that may be happening in the external world. I know who I am. I know what I'm here to broadcast. I know what I'm here to stand for. I did not arrive here to teach strategy. I did not come to motivate, to fix, to heal, to convince. I am not here to participate in the old economy of effort, of proving, of performance, of negotiation. Those systems simply no longer survive in my field. So if you're feeling a shift, and maybe you're feeling like you're leaning away, it's because I'm just not able, there's certain frequencies that just can't survive in my field because I'm holding such high authority now. And I've had many gifts and opportunities to be able to cultivate that. And I'm so grateful for that. So now, because of this shift, I am working with high capacity leaders that are really willing to operate at full voltage, CEOs, founders, visionaries, people who already know how to build and scale and get results. They're not looking to me to get them anything because they already know that as the creator of their own reality, they get them for themselves. So I'm working with people who, yes, they have through the external world perhaps achieved a certain amount of success, but they also are done with, they want money to be appearing without having to negotiate with the field. They don't want to be supervising money. They don't want to feel like a manager in their business. They don't want growth to feel heavier than it should, because of course it shouldn't feel heavy. It should feel light and buoyant, etc. And they're really done with effort being the reference point for money, effort being the reference point for abundance, etc. They really are ready to make effort obsolete in their reality and truly, truly, truly remember how to play the real game of life. This, of course, isn't a failure by just feeling like, oof, I've outgrown this stuff. If you're feeling that way, that's really just you stepping into your high authority and being the signal. You have outgrown the architecture that created your current level of success. And now you're ready to work with me for full authority installation, to really be the only author and authority in your reality. I'm here to help you work in the field of potentiality so that you can make what felt impossible actually probable, ideally inevitable in your field. You're ready to stop pushing for income, stop pulling, and stop proving anything, because you're ready for your income to simply obey you. You are law. You set the rules and you command the field to respond to you accordingly and come to you at God's speed. I remove the distortion that has been interfering with your natural command so that everything you touch begins to carry value again. The monies, the opportunity, the timing, the business, etc. This is why my work often happens quietly, privately, and with precision. I am essentially the secret weapon to a lot of folks that are really just ready to play the game of life and never look back. So back to the energetics of this year. We are in the year of Fire Horse. This is not going to be a year of incremental growth. It is a year of velocity, courage, and unrestrained movement. The horse does not respond to hesitation. The horse simply moves when it's time to move. It doesn't occur to the horse to look around and see if it can move. It moves when it knows it's time to move, and it moves for various reasons. It responds to clarity, direction, and authority. And for leaders who are still negotiating with the field, it will create a lot of friction this year. Leaders who are ready to stabilize command will experience pretty instantaneous nonlinear expansion. We often say that we want to have leaps, and yet we micromanage those. This is going to be a year that micromanaging your leaps, like saying you want to have big expansion really quickly, you want everything to happen yesterday, while still micromanaging that level of friction is going to be almost impossible to manage. So because the horse is going to move, you get to decide, are you going to be moved by the horse, or are you going to be the one that moves with full authority and full sovereignty? So the bigger thing is, can your field hold the speed of your next level without contraction? Have you created a plan for how the body's going to stabilize that, how your emotional field's going to stabilize that, getting your mind on board, not because I want you to manage your mind, but because we already know that if you're operating in a 3D reality, in the inverted game of life, your brain is going to constantly tell you that movement is scary. But if you're operating from your divine mind and operating from an expanded field, you're going to be tapping into the field of imagination, the field of potentiality, and that is going to be a really magnetic and magical year for you. So this is the work for this year. So to give you insight into how I'm working now, I am here to restore original coding and to help you really stand in high authority, to really be remembering how to direct your frequency with exacting precision so that you can collapse matter out of the field at God's speed and have it all feel really natural and expansive in your field. When you step into my world, money reorganizes itself automatically. Opportunities consolidate. Timelines collapse so that you're only living in your highest timeline. Your business becomes responsive. It becomes loyal to your command. It obeys your rules. It's really precise. This isn't manifestation. This isn't mindset. This isn't performance. This is command. This is how things work in the real game of life. When authorship is restored, and when it is restored, effort dissolves. Selling becomes completely unnecessary. because the only market that matters is the cosmic field, right? And when you know how to command the cosmic field, no effort is required. I know that that can sound easy, but if you've already done the work to get here, you get it. You already have experiences where the things that shouldn't be collapsing into your field just do. Where other people might look at you and say, oh, how did she do it? Or that must be false, or that must be distorted. That must not be the full story, because how did this happen? Well, no, if you know how to command the field, you know how to make matter collapse into your field effortlessly. And some of you have heard the stories I've shared on any of the uh, group like the group events that we've done over the past 6 months or so, right? Some of the fun things that I've been collapsing out of the field. When you are stepping into a field that's already calibrated for that, things move very quickly for you as well. And something I hear all the time when people step into my spaces is that things are moving even before they hop on the first call, because I have infused the spaces, whether it be one-on-one with me or any of the group containers, to really be calibrated to success on a whole other level. You'd have to work really hard not to get results in these different spaces, because I've commanded them to be so. And in fact, those who are not ready for quick and lasting results tend to feel some hesitation, and they'll say it. They'll tell me, I know that this space is going to completely change my life, and that's why I'm not stepping in, because I'm still more afraid of change than I am excited about these leaps that I keep saying I want. And I totally honor that. When you come into my world, you're already ready for that. So I have created different entry points that are designed around where you're at, timing, readiness, etc. There's nothing hierarchical here. There's nothing sequential. Each option exists for a distinct moment of authority. So I have private 90-minute sessions, and those are open now. I don't know how long they'll be open, because it was not really my intention to be offering a lot of one-on-one. But these are for leaders who are ready for immediate calibration to their command. They are precise, private, and decisive. There's a lot that happens in that 90 minutes. So there's two different options. One is the money upgrade session for leaders whose business or career works, whose authority is present, but whose income has slowed, capped, or entered an almost there loop, right? There's just some money loops that keep happening for you. Maybe push and pull, maybe you feel like you know you're going to hit a mark and you never quite hit it, but there'll be a loop that's been going on for a while. We make those loops obsolete. We're not building anything new. We're not adding anything. There's no effort required. We're simply removing any distortion that is impacting money's ability to respond to you on command. And then we have the 90-minute New Era Business Architecture session. This is for leaders who can feel that the entire way they've been doing business is complete. Like they've completely evolved out of 3D business, and they're in the void of, I know something new's on the horizon, I don't know what that is. And again, it's not because things failed, it's because there's completion. You can't even listen to the echoes of the past. This is where funnels feel obsolete, where launches feel heavy, where constant um, content creation feels, just dizzying. We're really making effort obsolete here. And we are installing the codes that allow selling to be effortless, right? That allow your offers to fill themselves essentially. Yes, maybe you might send an email, or you might make one or two posts or something, but well, in a lot of cases, my clients are experiencing people just showing up in ways that make no sense at all, which is really, really fun. So this is where we're installing the architecture, the frequency architecture, but also, of course, the calibrating the divine architecture of the business to reorganize now, not around effort, but around authority, inevitability, and command, right? So that effort it really is obsolete. So you'll find out about those two sessions in the email and in the notes below. Then I have two group containers. These are for leaders who are ready to stabilize command long term. So they're not accelerators, they're not programs even, they're environments where authority becomes law. The Midas Touch is a 90-day group immersion for leaders who are done earning through effort and are ready to have everything they touch turn to gold, the Midas Touch. So here we're installing the codes of command and really stabilizing them so that money, clients, and opportunities reorganize around the command automatically. This is where income stops requiring explanation and it just does what you command it to do. And then the second group is a 10-month immersion, a group immersion. Both of these are intimate in the sense that you get a lot of undivided attention from me. And these are for leaders who are ready to move beyond identity. They're not attached to any inverted game of life identities. They've moved beyond effort and linear cause and effect entirely. They're really ready to keep experimenting with how to make the impossible probable and ideally inevitable. So we're really transcending reality. We're not just bending reality, but we're transcending reality and creating completely new rules in those spaces. Both of those have waiting lists, but we're putting that below in the field or in the email, I should say. So I know that was a lot that I keep getting asked through email. So I want to do this succinctly now as the more, 3D, so to speak, updates. And then additionally, I have created a new YouTube channel and a new Threads channel, a new Instagram channel to match this new frequency. So we're going to put the links below, and I'd really love it if you could follow along there, say hello, let me know how you're doing, etc. And if you are able to share them as well, that's great because we obviously want to be reaching as many people like us as possible. We're basically restoring the ancient civilization, right? Of those of us that are here to anchor pure consciousness on the planet, especially during these times. And that is, part of my mission. And I know it's part of your mission as well. I also have some new gifts, free gifts that are going to be released. So be on the lookout in your email. If you haven't done so already, or you find that a lot of our emails go to spam or trash, I recommend that you whitelist our emails because these freebies are going to be really fun. And then lastly, just out of nowhere over the last few weeks, I've written 2 books. And I've got 2 more that are probably about 40 to 50% done. So there's going to be at least 4 books that are released this year to really support you in playing the real game of life. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to give too much away. So I know this was a lot to take in. I was going to host this as a live, almost like fireside chat, but I thought, oh, with everyone's schedules and a lot going on, it's probably just easier to connect with you this way. But I wanted you to see me and feel the transmission coming through. I'd love to hear how this landed for you and whether we're going to continue on the journey together or whether you've listened and you said, yeah, I'm complete for now. It's been an honor and a privilege to be able to share even an iota of space with you on this planet. And I'm so honored to be able to share this journey at this time and all of the things we're creating right now. So thank you for being here. I'm sending you infinite love, golden blessings, and hope to see you again really soon. Bye for now.